A UK parliamentary committee has proposed tighter regulation of social media giants to make them accountable and stop the spread of fake news. The recommendations follow a scandal over Facebook users' data being harvested for use in President Trump's election campaign. The report, which has been leaked ahead of its official publication on Sunday, proposes making companies like Facebook and YouTube legally liable for harmful content on their sites. It suggests auditing algorithms and security mechanisms that target users. Recommendations also include a possible tax on social media sites to help fund education and regulation. And the report proposes changing the rules of political campaigning to adapt to the digital age. Well, joining me on set now is Peter Jukes. He is the CEO of Byline Media, which campaigns for higher media standards and crowdsources journalism. Thank you so much for joining us here on Al Jazeera. I mean, the members of parliament who put together this report actually said that fake news could constitute a democratic crisis in the UK. In light of that, what is your reaction to this report?
Well, I think it's a landmark report because it draws together so many strands we've seen with multiple scandals here in the UK. One that went global was the Cambridge Analytica scandal. I helped the whistleblower Chris Wiley come forward. And basically he revealed that Cambridge Analytica had access to millions of people's data on Facebook and could therefore target them with fake news according to their psychological profile. And so this is very different from the usual kind of fake news we used to spin and sort of politicians. These are dark ads or fake news sites telling you something about Muslims or refugees targeted against your personal fears. And so then it's not accountable. Facebook makes a lot of money out of that. So why shouldn't Facebook, this is called an externality, it's kind of like a form of pollution, pay for and regulate the content that it has? But also, by the way, the report explores overspends in the election campaign, the Brexit referendum, by both Leave EU and Vote Leave, the official campaign, and also looks at Russian influence. Because the thing about Cambridge Analytica, the targeted data around Brexit before Trump, they both go together, is that the Russian troll farm, the Internet Research Agency, was doing exactly the same thing with, it seems like, the same data. And so that was foreign interference in our local elections. You're not allowed to interfere in American elections. So where's the accountability if dark money and big data is being turned against the electorate and they're getting information they think is real? I mean, Breitbart or some of these sites, the IRA, the Internet Research Agency, created with completely fake news about Hillary and these scandals, and people would not know on Facebook this wasn't a legitimate news source. They'd get a bit of misinformation.
Facebook's reply has always been, not just Facebook, other platforms as well, we are a platform for this content. We are not the publishers. And I'm not sure that they cooperated fully or at all, actually, with this report by the Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee here in the UK.
They refused to come.
Yeah, and they're still trying, the committee's still trying to get Mark Zuckerberg to get, to be able to question him. I mean, ultimately, what can Facebook be forced to do? Because we're still talking about companies that are all over the world.
Well, the ultimate sanction on them is obviously their economic power. And if their latest results, 3 million Europeans left Facebook. Yeah. Their stock value has gone down $150 billion since this scandal. So they sold themselves on trust. We're just connecting to the world. But to be fair, their business model was selling on that data to corporate agencies. And some of these turned out to be people manipulating elections, not in the UK, but across the world. And so I think they have to listen, because the trust that we give them, that we didn't know. If you use this app, this My Digital Life app, which was the source of, 170 million user profiles, which Cambridge Analytica got hold of, your data, even if a friend used it, got access by Cambridge Analytica. We've got to remember that your likes, your preferences, your favourite bands, where you go, even your direct messages are access, and they can predict on 1,000 points of data, they know what you like. There's a famous true story, well, alleged, it hasn't been come to court yet, of a woman who was targeted advertising because the advertisers online knew she was pregnant before she did.
Good grief.
Because your people are so predictable en masse with all these points of data.
Obviously, this has been hugely debated in the UK today since the report was leaked, both online and on TV. And an argument that I've heard that I think I want to put to you, I don't necessarily agree with it. A lot of people will say, well, Barack Obama, for example, was known as the president that first used social media. He was like the social media president. Yeah. And because some would say that, people complaining now would have voted Barack Obama, that it's a sort of politically charged thing, that once Barack Obama gets in and uses similar algorithms, that's fine, but once controversial campaigns like Trump or vote EU, then it's not fine. What's your reply?
Well, that's a very good point. I mean, I hope I've investigated the Brexit campaign, mainly Leave campaigns, and I'd hope that if it shows that the Remain campaign had used Cambridge Analytica, had spent, I'd be investigating that too. And so law breaking is wrong, no matter which side you use it. Now, to compare the Trump campaign to the Obama campaign, well, Obama won the plurality of the vote. We know that Hillary won the popular vote. Trump was very effective in very small constituencies, energizing the votes in these swing states. Now, the Obama campaign made it clear it was giving you ads. It said a campaign for Obama, and it was a lot of small donors. What we have with the Trump campaign is big hidden spends by billionaires like Robert Mercer's and hidden dark ads. They didn't say, I'm an ad for Trump. It said, here's a bit of news about Hillary. And so it was completely covert. It was below the radar. And I think, yeah, digital campaigning's here forever, but you just got to be transparent and above the law.
Just one last question. There's a lot of focus on digital education as well, and the report mentions that some of the money got through a potential tax should be spent on that. Now, is that an element of the argument, but not enough unless other things are also done?
I think it's a very, very good point. I think it's very smart to do that because, in a way, what's happened, the classic mastheads like the BBC, their authority is being diminished by social
Hugely,
media.
yeah.
But because, we all want to public, and you do get a lot from social media. I've made my career as a journalist live tweeting the phone hacking trial, as any journalist to tweet every moment. So it's very good. But the audience has to work out who they trust. If you can't trust, if your BBC's you're not the only source, you as a reader, as a participant in social media, have to do some due diligence. We're no longer passive consumers. And that's good. We're going to have to become citizen editors, if not citizen journalists.
Interesting times ahead, I think, for the media. Peter Jukes, CEO of Byline Media, thank you so much for having joined us.